what's up, everybody? Welcome to an episode of Off the Record. I'm RJ Starcevic in for David Childhouse, your normal host, and I'm pleased to be joined by our guest here, Mr. Caleb Costner. First of all, how you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Hope you guys are. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, appreciate you obviously going out of your way here to get this whole setup going. I love it. You got the ARCA car, you got the shop in the background. I mean, I know you were just saying you're always working hard. You're out and about. I mean, how the last, let's just say, a few months been for you?
They've been up and down. I've had a lot going on, especially on the personal side of things. On the ups, I have a little girl, and I have my first child, and little Lainey, she is here with us, and she is 2 months old yesterday. So that's been a new exciting journey of mine. But on the racing side of things, it's also been up and down, mainly down. Unfortunately, it's always a battle, fighting sponsorships and just growing, growing pains. And we've been fortunate enough to really grow our program from, getting our late models and trailers and stuff last year to, acquiring an ARCA car now, and, really trying to up our program and all the equipment that kind of goes along with that. People don't realize just the amount of resources and money and contacts and a lot of stuff that it takes to get to that point. So it's been huge though. Unfortunately, our last ARCA race was New Smyrna. We've ran 5 other late model races since then. So those have been really good. Our last showing there was right before Lainey was here, and that was the 1st of May. We had some issues at Hickory that got us in an accident. We had to replace the whole front clip on the car, got caught up in someone else's stuff. And but it's really cool. We got a test coming Tuesday, and I got a guy that's joined our team, and he'll be doing that. And we race at Hickory again. It's kind of ironic. First race back in the late model, August 6th at Hickory, and I believe that's going to be on Flow. So I'm sorry, Racing America, not Flow. But yeah, big things, and we're working on a motor for the car right now. So yeah, big things are planned for us into this. If not this season, definitely in the next. Definitely, you can guarantee and count on us. We will be at Daytona. So that's what I'm most excited about next year. Is we're building on things to come. So sometimes it's hard to see it in the short game, but I'm excited about the future and where we're going. So.
Sounds awesome, man. I want to talk about the short track scene, specifically Hickory, for a second. I'm
Sure.
starting to do some more stuff with like the Cars Tour and stuff like that. So I'm trying to learn about, Cars Tour racing. I'm learning about Hickory. Got an event coming up there soon. Have you raced at Hickory before?
I have raced at Hickory. Yeah, I've raced at Hickory 4 different times. Once was in a legend car, ran the Southeast Tour. And then since then I've ran 3 other late model races, which I have a pro late model. I have a Howe chassis. Nothing too crazy out there. We don't have the money to go buy the brand new Furies and everything like that. But we've done very well with what we have. It's one of those deals that you can always see the talent through people's equipment, I feel like. And based off of what we're running against and where we're stacking up, I'm really confident in myself and, how much we've gained, me as a driver, and the confidence I've gained and how well we are doing when we stack up against, the other cars. So it's really, really hopeful and productive because everything that we've had done to build what we're building. And so, yeah, Hickory's a fun track go. It's one of those deals. I heard people kind of going into it. They're like, if you can race Hickory and you can be good at Hickory, you can be good about anywhere. And it is true. So many guys that they'll go to test at Hickory or they want to race Hickory, and Hickory is prestigious in its own self. How many racing legends came, stock car racing legends came and have raced at Hickory Motor Speedway. So it's really an honor to be able to say I have raced there, and it's just kind of cool that it happens to me in my backyard. So I've been fortunate in that aspect as well. But yeah, Hickory's a beast of its own, and if you can hone it, then you'll do very well at mostly everywhere else.
Awesome, man. I'm definitely looking forward and hoping to visit in there sometime soon, watching a race there in person. Because I know the short track, like myself going to New Smyrna when I saw you, that was my first ever short track race in person.
Really?
I've always been to Daytona. Talladega, Atlanta, like all the bigger tracks.
Okay.
And so I was like, when I got the opportunity to go to New Smyrna, I was like, this is awesome. It was like a totally different experience. I loved it. I mean, everything obviously is so close. My favorite part was, unlike Daytona, if you want to walk from turn 1 to turn 3, it'll only take you like 30 seconds compared to like 10 minutes. Daytona.
Right.
But yeah, it was really cool, especially getting to walk the grid and get to know all of you ARCA guys as well, because that was the first ARCA race I was covering. So, as far as your ARCA program, I know that race didn't go as well as you would have wanted at Smyrna, but you said you're still gearing up for next year at Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of where we're at with our program. It's so tough to explain because whenever you're building and doing everything yourself, there's so much work and time that goes into building and for me, I'm me and me alone. Like I have no marketing guy, I have no shop guy, I do everything myself. And I do have some friends and some volunteer guys, and I'm very thankful for them. But as far as like a payroll, we don't have anything like that. And everything that I have acquired, I had to work my freaking butt off for. And I think that's where it kind of comes from is, do you want to be here or do you not? And kind of, I know what it takes to get to where I've gotten because I've had to work for it, not because I was handed it. And, it is very tough to swallow whenever you got some guys that show up to the track and things they haven't had to work as hard for things as I've had to, or things didn't come as easy for me as they have for others. But, you can't let that get you down. Everybody finds their own, and there's a way to make the most of your situation. And at the end of the day, if you want to do something, if you have a dream, you just have to go out and do it, man. You have to just go out and achieve it. And for me, there was no writing on the wall saying, hey, Caleb's going to have an opportunity to go race, ARCA or trucks or something down the line. It was, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to make it happen, even though everybody around me is telling me that you can't, or man, you know how hard that's going to be. And they were right. It has been very hard, and it's super difficult. This year, like I said, the growing pains of kind of the downs of what I'm talking about is, every dollar that comes in here is, currently I'm a full-time sheriff sergeant, and so I don't make a lot of money, and so I use a lot of my the funds that do come in are from marketing and for myself and growing my team and sponsorships and stuff. So that goes back into, helping get us to the track and pass equipment, and all the people that have bought into our program and believe in me and see what we're doing, they see that long-term goal of where we want to be and where we want to go. And they've invested on me trying to get the equipment. So I haven't, unfortunately, been able to, I got the calls from ARCA, and I got the calls from some other teams like, hey man, are you going to be there for Five Flags? Are you going to be there for Dover? And then obviously after Dover, my daughter was born. And so that obviously become more of a priority at that point, but it was tough to swallow. Like I said, not being able to go to the track. I'm call me an OCD or a perfectionist or whatever you want to call me. I didn't like our run at New Smyrna. It did not reflect how I feel about me being a driver and as a team and the way I want to run things. When I ran on the West Coast last year, I was under, I was with other teams, so I could only control to a certain extent of the outcome of that. I knew that whatever happened in Phoenix, when we ended the season last year, I was not happy with that race. And, it kind of goes into, I didn't have a pit crew. I didn't have nobody. And if you go back and if you watch our guy does a series on our Facebook page and YouTube, it's called The Lawman. And if you go back and you watch that, he's done like 2 seasons now. But the last episode kind of goes into, Roseville, my experience with ARCA and what happened at Phoenix and kind of the backstory to all that and how it really unfolded and how much of a crap show, honestly, it really was. But it kind of gives you a behind the scenes look of just how hard it's been to get to where I've gotten and the challenges that faced me that day. It was not like I just showed up and drove a race car, because that was the furthest thing from what I did. That was the easiest thing I did that whole day. But, having those experiences made me think about how I wanted to run my program moving forward. And New Smyrna, again, like I said, did not go exactly how I wanted it to from a team owner perspective. And, we had to use a motor. Another team lent us a motor. It was not it was not a position I like to be in. I like to own all my equipment out, and sometimes you have to do what you have to do, and it really wouldn't put us in the best position. So I said until we got it right, we really weren't going to, put ourselves in that position again. So, that's where, as we grow as a team, though, it's crazy with the small things. Like you can't, it's out of frame right now, but all my gas cans with our Schultz heads on the car and on the cans, and people don't realize this. That's how much money that goes into, buying your pit box and buying a trailer and buying all the expenses that come with the team. So I'm not only trying to show up and race, I'm having to buy all my equipment and start my team up from scratch, essentially. So a lot of the funds that have come in is I focused on my long term of wanting to be in ARCA and wanting to race more. Well, when that happens, I've got to focus on where I would put my resources. So I've had to do that. I had to bite the bullet and do these things, but I am so excited about where we're going and the things that we're going to do. A guy like Tim Richmond kind of puts me in mind. A lot of people, a couple of years, I didn't really pay attention to him, but it shows he got some equipment, he got the right motor, he got the right things. And look at him at Daytona this year. Look at him when he shows up to a couple of these tracks. They've had some very bad luck when it comes to Charlotte, and I think there was another track they had some just crap luck where they couldn't start the race or some issues like that. But guys, the small guys, just trying to make it. Andy J, he's another great one to watch. He shows up at the big tracks, and he's just trying to make a name. And it's the same for me. I don't have the money, nor I don't know if we'll ever have the money to run full time. I would absolutely love that. But we definitely are looking to go that direction starting, next year. So we'll finish out doing some late models this year. If we can get this motor in this car, we do plan on maybe trying to get to Toledo, Phoenix, pending, see how bad the gas prices are then, because that's the haul. But if we can get some things coming through, we definitely want to finish the season on a high note and finish in Phoenix where we started last year with our own equipment. It would be kind of full circle, right? And so that's kind of what we said is we showed up, and like I said, we were in a bad position last year how we start and finish that race, and to come full circle on our own car to show up and race. And if we could get a clean finish, man, how cool would that be leading into that momentum for Daytona? And so that's kind of what we're thinking, and as we grow. So yeah, that's kind of where our program is for the time being. And as I said, we're getting ready to acquire a second late model. And then, like I said, pending some other sponsorships, our ARCA program should grow for sure as well. So
talk about the late models. I know I'm trying to learn more about it too. They're doing the whole racetrack revival at North Wilkesboro. Is that something you're interested in?
As a matter of fact, it is. We're really trying, pending how Hickory goes, and again, I hate to kind of beat on a dead horse, but how sponsorship kind of comes through for us. We do plan. We would love to be at North Wilkesboro, and if things work out the way we would like them to work out, we do intend on being at North Wilkesboro. That's kind of like to us, it'll be a shot in the arm, and it's that momentum. I think that Dale Jr. obviously helped with this, and a lot of people have brought a lot of attention to the short tracks of America, and especially like the revival at North Wilkesboro. And there'll be a lot of eyes. There'll be a lot of attention this whole month of August. There'll be a lot of eyes and a lot of attention on it. I think it was October, November when the dirt cars come in. And so, there'll be a lot of attention just on because, that obviously it's going to get resurfaced next year. And so, there's a lot. It's almost like a prestigious event. Just like I want to go to Daytona, right? We want to hit these other big races. It would be really cool to say, hey, I got to run on the same track. Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, Jeff Gordon, they all ran. That's really cool to be able to run that same surface. It's kind of its last hoorah, so to speak. So yeah, that'd be really neat. And if the stars align, we definitely will plan to be there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see you there. I mean, it's been really cool to see what they're all doing and that whole time frame that they're going to be racing there. It's really cool. A lot of people never thought it would happen again, and somehow they got that thing ready to go.
Absolutely.
They're tearing it up right after all those events, right? And then the repaving.
Yeah, right after the dirt.
I forgot.
Yep. So, and I don't know if that's going to be, and I don't know if it's going to be like a Bristol deal where they cover it with dirt after the, all the asphalt races, or whether they are going to, leave coated or tear it up. I'm not sure which way they're going to do it, but I'm sure whichever way is going to be most cost effective. It may be easier to go ahead and rip it up first. I don't know. Maybe the time will may take too long to do that. So who knows? But yeah, it's definitely going to be cool, and it'll be really interesting. I mean, my prediction is because I'm huge like NASCAR nostalgia and all that stuff. So my prediction is they they're going to resurface that thing, and we have some type of race next year at North Wilkesboro. I'm calling it now. From the channels I've heard, I say we have some kind of NASCAR ARCA sanctioned event at North Wilkesboro next year. I'd be kind of disappointed and shocked if we did.
Awesome. I hope so. That'd be a great goal to lean for sure.
It really would be cool.
We'll be back with more here on Off the Record. And welcome back here on Off the Record. And I want to transition here into a thing that you mentioned, Caleb, you being a full-time sheriff officer, deputy sergeant. I mean, I first just want to start off by asking you, like, how is doing that? How's managing that with the racing scene? I know you told me about it in New Smyrna, and I just thought it was really cool when I was doing a little live stream for the page, and there were some people that commented and thought it was really cool as well. And that's how I definitely wanted to get to talk to you here, Sue, during the season, but kind of just note on that and everything that you do in that aspect.
Yeah, it's a lot. My wife hates it. But I'm always a go-getter, and I put too much on myself, and it is a lot though, and I'm hoping to, again, to the point where we're reaching and some opportunities that are coming up for me and my team, we may end up taking a transition where I may end up having to go part-time, if not reserve, and because it is a lot. It is a lot. And when you're at work, your focus needs to be at work, especially in the kind of line of work that I'm in, and so it's very tough between the two, between trying to manage a race team that you're trying to grow and build and do everything yourself, and having a full-time job. And not to mention I'm a dad now since all this is happening. And so it's been a whole transitional period, but yeah, it's crazy, how the whole story comes about though, of how law enforcement and this racing thing, how I kind of got all like intertangled is I was a police officer. I was working in the city of Charlotte probably about 4 years ago, and I've been in law enforcement for about 9 years now. And so I kind of, my background and my story to kind of lead up to that point is, I started racing in bandos, kind of your average story, when I was like 12 years old. But I only got to run like 3 races, and my parents flat ran out of money. They had enough money to buy the car essentially. And they did not realize just how much it would cost. And, my dad, mom, blue collar people, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, worked their butts off. And, we did not come from money. And they said, son, we're going to have to sell this. We don't have what it takes. So, okay. So I got to run a legend car race here or there when I was like 14, 15. When I was 15, I got a job permit, started working at good old Subway, and bought my first, saved up enough money and bought a rolling chassis Pro 4 Fox body Mustang to go run at East Lincoln back when Ray Evernham still owned the track. And, they had the micro legend cars, or the legend sprint cars, whatever they were at the time. I forget what they were called. But that's when he was kind of all that going on. And so, East Lincoln was a big thing at the time. And so I was like, well, I just want to be there. And so we built us a 4-cylinder. We went out there, started running some laps again. And that was about the cheapest, most economic way I could get to the track and still turn laps. So I did that for about 3 years, we finished second in points. I think the second season in there, full-time season. And it was the first time I ever got to go to the track every week. And there's a lot that comes with that. And it gave me a lot of experiences. I got a lot of seat time over those couple of years. Well, when I was about 18 years old, which is about the end of those 3 years, high school was over, and I had to take a real deep look into what my career looked like. Like, I got to have a realistic, it doesn't look like racing's going to be paying the bills. So what can we do? And so over the next year or two, I looked at law enforcement was a way I could legally drive fast, and I got to shoot guns. So, hey, it was kind of a plus. And so, kind of thought that was a route I would go. And after doing a ride along or two with some other officers, I was like, oh yeah, this is for me. And so kind of got into it, and it was a career made of it. Well, so for the next, I don't know, 2-3 years, I pretty much focused on that solely as my career. And, racing kind of took a back burner. And then it was, like I said, it's about 3 years into my career there, which has been, like I said, about 4 or 5 years ago now. I was working, and I did a lot of work in the community, and I love kids. And I was working with the youth, and this little boy came up to me, and he's like, Officer Costner, what did you want to be when you grew up? And I told him, I said, well, I want to be a NASCAR driver. And he's like, what? He's like, you didn't want to be a police officer? I said, well, no, I mean, I am that now. I said, but my dream job was to be a NASCAR driver. And he's like, well, why don't you go be one? Just like a kid would say, right? And you're like, well, it's not that easy, bud, and people don't realize that. They really don't. And it's not something you can just get into. And yeah, no, obviously not having the right backing and stuff. So, but it's funny, out of the mouth of babes, that kid made me realize it's kind of a kick in the butt. It's like why did you give up on your dream? And this little kid's like, why don't you go do it? And I was like, yeah, why don't I go do it? And so I think about a month or two later, I actually ended up getting in a legend car again. I think that's when I ran at Hickory, and went and had some fun. And I was like, oh man, I just got bit again. That itch is always there. And so I was like, So we ended up getting our dirt car again, and it didn't cost us anything to start kind of getting a 4-cylinder because my uncle had one. He's like, here, just go drive it. So we just kind of for fun, kind of get back into it. And then before you know it, after about a year, it got serious again. And we finally had some legitimate people help us out money wise, which I never had up till about 2.5, 3 years ago. It was the first time I had ever had sponsorships come up. They helped take care. We ended up building a new race shop out of it. This is the shop you're looking at. And through it, we were able to just slowly build up from there. And then last January, so it's been a little over a year and a half now, this is the first time I transitioned to full time. I transitioned out of dirt, which was primarily my main background, and I focused on the asphalt side of things. I had a great friend of mine give me an opportunity and do some road racing stuff, which we ended up went on a race down at the Daytona Road Course last May. It was really cool. And that kind of got me into running late models, and opportunities come up with my background in dirt and then asphalt of the ARCA side of things. Finished out the season last year, and then ultimately here we are, and I'm owner of a late model and an ARCA car, and we're trying to go to Daytona next year again. So it's just crazy how that all unfolded. But law enforcement has always been there as a I've seen so many things in my time as being a law enforcement officer, more than I'd care to admit, and it's a tough job. I'm very thankful that there's other men and women who are willing to do that. Again, I know kind of where they come from, so it's an honor to be able to represent them when it has come to this stage. And ultimately, at first, I didn't know that. And actually, right after you passed me at New Smyrna, I had a gentleman come up to me. He was a retired captain from the local sheriff's office down there, and he thought it was the coolest thing, I guess, that I was in law enforcement. And I hate we only put on 47 laps for him in that race for him. But he was really stoked, and he's excited. And I have gotten positive feedback throughout the country since running and doing this, especially when we show up to the track. Some people may not know, and they hear about it, and they're like, for instance, we went to Portland. I'll share this quick story. Portland was the first race I was going to run on the ARCA side of things. And once I got there, I had a sergeant from Portland Police, and they've been through a lot last couple of years in itself. And he approached me and he said, "Hey, you're actually," because I had my Thin Blue Line Foundation was a sponsor for that event, and so I had my hat on for that company. And he said, he asked about law enforcement. I told him, I said, "Yeah, I'm actually, a sheriff's deputy in North Carolina." He's like, "What? No, that's crazy." And so about 10-15 minutes later, I was swarmed with a motor officer on a motorbike with the motorcycles. I had a K9 officer. I had a couple of the sergeants. And like before you know it, they're like, "Hey man, can we take a picture with you?" I said, "Absolutely." Like, dude, like, this is awesome. You representing law enforcement across America on the national stage, like, is huge. It's not the most supported job at times, and there's I understand there's on both sides that there's issues, and I try to be as balanced and as fair and in the middle, and be open and talk about those things as best I can. I try to be the best ambassador on both sides. I've had conversations with. It's obviously opened up the opportunity to talk with people who aren't comfortable with law enforcement and don't understand some of the things, that aren't as supportive, and I have those conversations, and I enjoy talking with them, and trying to understand where they come from and help them understand as well. And that's open conversations. I've got to talk with. It's been cool to really open up on a personal side of things and know that my backing, people like Bubba Wallace and and Raja has talked to me. And so it's been really, really cool to have the openness of that. Not all cops, not all people are portrayed in this way, and not all people that, see things from a different point of view or perspective doesn't mean they're bad or they have a wrong take on it. Just means they don't, there needs to be some more dialect and conversation there. So that's been really cool. I'd say that's the coolest thing about being in this position, the things that's opened up, that's pretty much, I could say that's where it's been. But it's definitely, it's a huge honor. And I look forward to it, whether I continue to work full time where I take a reserve role and I'm not working as much. I still get to represent on the national stage, which is really cool. And I always have that in my mindset, as I'm representing them across the country. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's great stories and great conversations like you mentioned to have with people. And then that kind of leads me to my next question. Like how important do you think are these stories, especially for you as a late model driver, as ARCA drivers? Like this is what's definitely part of what's kept me interested in ARCA and learning about it, is the stories throughout the garage area, right? Getting to know drivers like you and everything like that. How important do you think it is for drivers like you to get their story out there for just any outlet or TV, whether you're racing on FS1 or flow racing or whatever, to get that story out there about the drivers, to kind of make it a little more personal?
It's huge. I know ARCA takes a beating when it comes to, well, that's why they're racing ARCA or something. But it is, look, it's NASCAR fans. You're gonna hear that no matter if somebody's running in truck, Xfinity. Somebody's gonna go all over Jesse Iwuji, or somebody's gonna go all over somebody in the truck series, or whatever the case may be. And Jesse's a great friend of mine. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter who you are. You're gonna have keyboard warriors no matter where, and they're gonna light it up. So I will say, though, being the ARCA series in itself has provided me opportunities that I may not elsewhere. Which, speaking of, to kind of interrupt that, I was just approved to run truck in Xfinity last month, so that's really cool. And I want to add an addition to that, even though we're not on track currently with the ARCA car. Those are things we're looking forward to. But I kind of say that if it weren't for ARCA and having the opportunities that I've had, I would not have gotten approved to get to that point. So people don't realize how big those, because I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody, meaning as in I came from nothing. I have no name. I have no backing. And if it weren't for this series of me trying to get in and just literally scraping up dirt, scratching, clawing, whatever I had to do to get to this point, I would not even have had the opportunity to get in front of or to send my resume to NASCAR. At least not this path. I mean, sure, there's other forms of motorsports and racing that could have helped to get to that point, but my path and what was on, and this was the best suited path for me. And so if this path wasn't laid out for me and the opportunities to share my story and to have the opportunity to race, I would not have future opportunities. So I'm very thankful that, and I think it's huge. You have other guys I could think of right now. D.L. Wilson, he's another one. He's in law enforcement now. He's 60 something years old. He's retired. But he was a Texas Highway Patrol for years and years. Great guy. We're great friends, and we've talked a lot about the law enforcement side of things. Ryan Roulette, another new name. He's in the military and a lot of stuff going on there as well, representing them. And we've had some other kind of guys and girls come up through that. And so there's some stories that you're not necessarily maybe hearing about that are newer, and it does help. It helps whether we like it or not. Racing, you've got to have marketing and sponsorship. And unless you're somehow getting to the track, sometimes your story may get attention from other people, and other people may be interested in backing you. Hey, I support law enforcement. Hey, I support the military. I want to back this guy, and I want to see what he's got. I want to see if he can have an opportunity that some of these other guys have. And so you never know where that kind of lies. And so I can't say thank you enough to the people who have believed in me, who have given me the opportunity to get to this point. For instance, a law enforcement back company, Thin Blue Wine Cellars, they have their own little vineyard out north in California. I had never been to California. They're the ones who stepped up and helped sponsor me for Portland, California, and helped start to make Phoenix happen. And so if it weren't for them and the belief that they have of just supporting me as a person, then those things wouldn't happen. So, but I definitely think it's huge. That's where I obviously have the late model. That's why I contend on seat time. It's so crucial. And I intend on continuing to turn laps to help better me. So when I do have more ARC opportunities, then I am ready. That way I'm performing at my highest ability. And then that way, when opportunities do come up, if I'm able to do the best I can on that stage, then other opportunities may open up down the line from that. And so, yeah, I'm always looking ahead, but I'm always trying to stay focused in the now as well, as far as what's going to help me long term. And that's why we have the late model in the stable here. And that's why we obviously are trying to work both of our programs and continue to grow them. But yeah, ARCA is huge. I met a lot of great people out of it. The networking that it's helped me be able to just get to know people and get my name out there. It's been huge. So I'm very thankful for it. And I look forward to continuing to race within the series and this season and to the seasons to come. So yeah, it's been great, man.
Awesome. Yeah. And lastly, I want to note, I know you wanted to talk about some ARCA racing at Pocono
Sure.
going on, whether the viewers are listening to this before or after the race at Pocono. And then again, we do have another race at IRP coming a week from now. So that I'm really excited for that one as well. But let's
Mamba.
Yeah, Mamba, baby, Mamba Smith making his debut at IRP. I'm sure he
will be.
That shout out. So that's really cool. But yeah, two races, ARCA races in a row, Pocono, IRP. I mean, I'm pretty excited for him. I'm excited for the one at Pocono. I'm definitely thrilled to watch the one at IRP for sure. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Pocono is always exciting. Sometimes it's one of the tracks that some of these guys first time kind of go at it. I checked some lap times yesterday, and I'm was really happy with Rev Racing and kind of where their programs progress. And they've stepped in and brought some people in. I think that really helped their program build it. With Nick and Raja on the verge of a championship, I think they've really taken it seriously as far as putting their money where their mouth is and trying to get a championship for Rev. This is their first major season on the national championship level. And so it's a big thing when you're transitioning from East and then you go from 7 to 10 races like that on a schedule to 20 races. I mean, you essentially double what you're doing. And then to be at the top of that is huge. But you can never count out Venturini. And then you can obviously never count out now DGR. Taylor Gray is a freaking heck of a wheelman. Same goes for Jesse Love, dude. Jesse Love is going to be between Jesse and Jesse, Taylor, and you got like Raja. Man, those three guys right there to me are like that's the future of NASCAR. And so people don't, they may say there could be mixed emotions and thoughts about ARCA and this and that, but you got guys who are going to be in the Cup Series 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, so like you're getting to watch this raw talent unfold, and that's what you're going to be watching on Sunday. I mean, these guys are your tomorrow superstars, and it's kind of cool to see them when they make their initial starts. I think Jesse's going to make some truck starts or something like that next year, maybe, and Raj just kind of started to go into that, and Jesse, his age has kind of held him back, so I think next year you'll see Jesse probably run a full ARCA schedule. He'll be at the super speedways and stuff like that. Whereas, Taylor's got to do the same thing now. And so it's really cool to, like I said, see them develop as drivers and as people. There's a lot of pressure. There is so much pressure on you when you're out there and you have to perform at a high level, especially like for a guy like me. Obviously, the pressure's there. Like I want to perform because ultimately I know that this could reap benefits as far as sponsorship stuff. But I don't have a multi-million-dollar sponsorship either that's looking at me saying, man, what the heck? And so there's a lot of pressure, especially these young kids and stuff. So there's a lot of things that people, they can, again, be keyboard warriors and stuff, but there's so much that goes into it that they don't understand that these guys are facing and know that this is their career. That's where they're headed, So, but, I think Pocono is going to be a great race. I think that you're going to see some people stand out. I mean, it's really that super speedway feel, especially with these cars. You get this, there's some long drawn out times during Pocono. We know this, but it creates a lot of excitement as far as how these drivers, the ones that never been there before, how they want to essentially draft on that big front stretch, or how, it's really cool to see how it plays out. But I definitely think that there's a lot that's lot to unfold there, and I'm even looking more forward to IRP, man. Like you said, Mamba, it's his first race. I'm excited to see how he's finally getting his opportunity. I know with the unveil yesterday of his car and a kind of a throwback to AJ, that's gonna be really cool to kind of see them and see how well he performs. I know there's a lot of pressure there on him. I know he wants to perform very well. I know he's been working his butt off to get to a point where he can have an opportunity just like this. And it's really, really good to see the good guys come through, have an opportunity to perform and to, just have that chance, and a lot of guys don't get that. So it's really cool to see that. I'm thankful because I know what that feels like. And so, yeah, super excited to see that. That's going to be a little bit of a mix up, a little shorter track feel to it. I hate that we're not going to be there. But yeah, it's really cool. I can't wait to see these two races. It's going to be really cool. And people talk about ARCA. It's live on FS1, man. Same coverage as trucks and some other stuff. It's really cool to see these guys get some TV time and the opportunity to perform on a national stage like that. So, yeah, excited for them. It's going to be two great races, and I'm looking forward to watching it. So,
yeah, for sure. I definitely think there's a lot of future talent in the ARCA series, more than there has been even in years past. Like the star-studded field. I mean, it's crazy. Some of these fields that are coming out for the ARCA, Menard series, and a lot of it can be equipment based and stuff like that. But still, drivers and the wheelmen, and just like you mentioned, Taylor Gray, Rajah Caruth, Jesse Love. Sammy Smith, who's starting on pole.
Sammy Smith, Nick Sanchez, man, Nick Sanchez. I mean, great. Well. I mean, it's. I think a lot of it comes down to, can these guys bring the sponsorships on to that next level? Unfortunately, don't be naive to the fact of the way the sport works. And if they can bring in some sponsorships and they can get recognized and get noticed, I have no doubt that and most of those guys we've already named have already had Xfinity starts or truck starts as well. So, yeah, I could see them easily progressing on to that next stage as long as, they have that backing, and they will be superstars, I'm sure.
Awesome, man. Exactly. Yes. So make sure to tune in to the upcoming ARCA races. And I know a little early to put on your schedule, but make sure to put the ARCA race at Daytona in 2023 on your schedule. You can watch Caleb Costner hopefully in action at Daytona. So again, thank you, Caleb, for coming on Off the Record. Appreciate you having me on here and sharing your story.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, man.